I know. Paldea Evolved just came out not that long ago, and we're already moving on to Obsidian Flames, but that's kind of how the Pokemon trading card game goes. Hey, Nick from Nightcard TCG, and today we are looking at a first impression, or just, early thoughts of Obsidian Flames, the next Pokemon trading card game set. I was going to say the latest, but it's not really the latest. It's Paldea Evolved's the latest. It's the next Pokemon trading card game set to come out. I'm really excited for it. There's some really cool cards, mostly the promo Charmander and ETB. Oh my god, that thing is adorable. It's like one of my favorite cards. He's so angry. He's so mad. I can't get over it. We're going to go look at some of the cards, just some selected cards, and really, we're looking at the ones that Justin Basil made proxies for, because Justin Basil is a phenomenal site, good friend of the channel, so please go check out justinbasil.com, YouTube, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Links in the video description. It puts out some really cool infographics on top decks every Monday, which you want to check out, that I absolutely steal and just put straight into my Discord, because, yeah, there we go. Let's go check them out. I just want to show the, Justin Basil website, Obsidian Flames, selected proxies. There's a few other things. If you want to look at like the full set list and things like that, you can, or at least the prospective set list, you can. I'm not going to show it. Some people like to be surprised with some of the card art, so I'm not going to show it. We're just going to kind of go ahead and get to just like the cards, like the main cards. And the first one we have to talk about is the Toedscruel. And the reason why this Toedscruel is so important is because of the protective filament ability. Prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. Don't do all of your Pokemon that have energy attached to them. Now, why is this so important? And do we have anything like this currently? The answer is, yeah, it's really important because of Sableye, right? Sableye is the thing that we need to worry about. Sableye's Attack Lost Mine puts damage counters on Pokemon. So if you have, you're not doing damage, you're placing damage counter. And placing damage counters is an effect of an attack. So Toedscruel would protect all of your Pokemon that have energy attached to them from getting damaged by Lost Mine. It's really important that you're able to have some level of protection, because Sableye is just super good. Now, we do have something in the format already, which is Espeon VMAX, that has the same ability, but it's on another Stage 1 Pokemon VMAX. Now, there's pros and cons to both Toedscruel and Espeon. One, Toedscruel, 270 health, a little bit easier to KO, but it's only 2 prizes, whereas Espeon VMAX is like 310 health or 300 health, something like that. So it's a little bit harder to KO, but it gives up an extra prize. They're both Stage 1s, and they both have, they're both Rural Box Pokemon with an ability, so things like Path to the Peak, turn them off. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember Aerodactyl's ability, so I don't remember if Aerodactyl V-Star would turn off Toedscruel, but it would turn off the Espeon. So there are some nuances to choosing one or the other. And honestly, considering how popular Sableye is right now, we don't see Espeon being played at all. And is that because it's not effective to put in this 1/1 line in a deck and kind of clunk up your deck, and now you have to take up that bench space? Or is it simply because it's a 3-prize Pokemon and nobody wants to put a 3-prize bench sitter on just to get bossed KO'd? Now, you can put something like Leafy Camo Poncho on the Espeon VMAX to keep it from getting bossed, or keeping it from getting serened or something like that. But that's an extra card that you not only have to have in your deck, but find at the right time. And now those are 3 dead cards in every matchup that is not Lost Zone Sableye. And so I understand why people might not want to do it, and the same concerns basically exist for Toedscruel. But the question is, like I said, will it be more popular because it's a 2-prize Pokemon as opposed to a 1-prize? And Ting Lu can turn off something like an Espeon VMAX, but it can't turn off Toedscruel because Ting Lu's ability doesn't turn off Pokemon EX, basically. I don't think that's super relevant, just wanted to mention it. The next is Eiscue. Eiscue is kind of interesting. Piping Hot Block. Now, this is the first EX that we're going to see that is a type different than its normal type. Eiscue is an ice type, and now we have it as a fire terror type. And I'll be super honest with you, when I first saw this card, I thought it was actually from a tweet from Jake Gearhart, and I swear to God, I thought this was something he made, because it looks, I thought he took an Arcanine EX and just slapped an Eiscue on there, and was like, this is a cool attack for Eiscue to have. I thought he made it himself, but it's a real card. Piping Hot block for 3 water energies. Now you notice we're a Fire Terror, but we retain the energy attack requirements of the Pokemon's normal type. So yes, this is a fire type Pokemon that would go into a water deck, or a deck that uses water energies. Eiscue is a basic EX, 210 health. Piping Hot block does 160 damage, discarded energy from this Pokemon, and then during your next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. This is actually not terrible. One of the things, depends on what you're playing against. A deck like Lugia that does not have a lot of retreat options, or switch options, I should say, you know, you can maybe kind of buy a turn or two with something like an Eiscue. However, a lot of decks, Lost Zone has a lot of switch outs. Things like Gardevoir can very easily accelerate some energies and retreat to something else. Things like Lugia can very easily accelerate energies and retreat to something else. I don't know how useful it's going to be right now. It's a cool concept. But 3 water energies is kind of a lot to do 160, and then the defending Pokemon can't attack. And you have to discard that energy, but one of the energies, by the way. Something about it just doesn't feel great. 210, pretty easy to get KO'd. I don't know. Something's off about this to me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't like having a water weakness, especially with Champao Palkia being probably pretty popular. So something feels off, and I don't really know what it is. I'm not super crazy about this card. Do remember that all Terror Pokemon have the trait or the attribute that they can't be damaged by attacks while on the bench. So you can't get bench sniped by something. Damage counters are not damage, so you can still place damage counters on them. You just can't do damage with like Moonlight Shuriken on Greninja or something like that. Move on to the next EX, which is Tyranitar EX. And I'm actually kind of excited for this card. It's a Lightning Tyranitar, and if you go all the way back in time, there was previously a Lightning Tyranitar. I think it was like Delta species or something like that. So this is kind of like not new, but it's new. It's like, it's, you know, spiritually reprint. Just keeping Tyranitar the lightning change, or the change in type to lightning. Don't know why they're so fixated on Tyranitar being a lightning type. I'm alright with it because it's normally a fighting type, right? So we have fighting type energies, and we can get fighting energies, 1 or 2 of them. We can get them pretty easily. 340 health on a stage 2 Pokemon. 340 health. That's a lot of HP. Would you have a retreat cost of 4? So that is something to keep in mind. And now we're weak to fighting, which canonically makes sense for Tyranitar. Tyranitar is quad weak to fighting, so it's something, you know, kind of cool. However, Mountain Bash for a single fighting energy does 120, and then discard the top 2 cards of your deck. That's not terrible for just hitting, you know, into something and putting some big chip damage. Gardevoir, Champao, they can both probably one-shot you. I don't want to say easily, because 240 health is quite a bit, but they do have the capability of doing it. And then you do have to worry about things like Lugia running Urshifu. That Urshifu is going to obliterate you, but you're still only 2 prizes and 340 health, so that's something. Thor's Rampage, these names are 100% getting changed. There is, I would bet money, there is a 0% chance that Thor's Rampage stays the name of this attack. 150 damage for 2 fighting energy, and if any of your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them, you do an extra 100 damage. So hitting for 250 for 2 fighting energy isn't really bad when we can attach it for turn, and then we use something like Gutsy Pickaxe to accelerate an energy. We have Koraidon for very early energy acceleration. It's not terrible. I don't know how good it's going to be. Again, hitting things for lightning weakness is not bad. Palkia does take lightning weakness. And that's about it. There's really not a lot of stuff that's going to get hit for lightning weakness at the moment. But there's really not a lot of fighting going around at the same time either. So you know, some trade-offs, I guess, in terms of weakness. Um, it's okay. It's okay. I do like the idea that, like, Mountain Bash for, you know, 1 fighting energy hits 120, and then the next turn you attach another energy for turn, you're hitting for 250, that's 370, you're knocking out anything in the game. So, you know, you can kind of easily do some chip damage, tank an attack, and then do some more chip damage. There is opportunity for something like, okay, I'm going to attach an energy, hit you for 120, you don't one-shot me back, I'm going to Cheryl, attach a fighting energy, hit you for 120, you hit me back, you don't KO, I'm going to Cheryl, and just kind of repeat that process over and over again, just constantly hit for 120, 150 with a choice belt, 150 with a defiant band if you're behind on prizes, something like that. That is an option. You never even have to use Store's Rampage, or if you get the chance to use it, you're like, okay, hit for 120, hit for 120, Cheryl, or hit for 120, hit for 350, Cheryl, something, you know, something ridiculous. There is some interesting play with this card. I just don't know how much play it'll see. Speaking of things that I don't know how much play they're going to see, we have Pawmot EX, 300 health, free retreat, which is really nice. Zap Kick for a single lightning energy does 60, and then Lightning Strike, 2 lightning energies, discard 2 lightning energies from this Pokemon. If you do, it does 220 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So Manaphy does prevent the damage from Lightning Strike to going to the bench, so that's something to keep in mind. But it's a pretty cool attack. It's a pretty cool concept. Being able to attack really easily with Zap Kick, being able to, again, Electric Generator, Flaffies with Dynamotor. Like, we can power this thing up very, very easily. And with something like Miraidon, we can pretty easily get those, the Pawmots into play so that we can evolve eventually. It's just, you know, it's a stage 2. So you're getting this, you're taking all the time to get your, you know, your 4 Pawmots, and then you have to have a Pawmi, or Pawmi, Pawmo, Pawmot. I think that's, so you get your 4 Pawmis into play early, or 3 of them, whatever, and then you have to work your way up to a Pawmot to do 60 damage, or try to snipe something, but then Manaphy blocks, so you're forced to go to the active. Don't get me wrong, 220 is pretty good. And we have free retreat, so that means we can very easily attack with Lightning Strike, discard the 2 energies, then those 2 energies we discard. If we have a Pawmot on the bench and we have 2 Flaffies on the bench, we can use Dynamotor, accelerate those 2 discard energies to our benched Pawmot, and then free retreat the active to the one that we just accelerated energies to, and then we go, and then we can play something like a Cheryl, heal that damage that we just took from the Pawmot that in the active we retreated, and now we just kind of constantly recycle or switch through our Pawmots and just hit 60, 60, 60. It just doesn't, you need something else. 60 is not enough, 220 is just not enough, especially again with things like Gardevoir and Chien-Pao really having crazy high damage caps. They could one-shot you very easily. I'm not crazy about this one. Houndstone is another one that I'm not a big fan of. 260 is HP. It's a Psychic type, big bite, 30 damage during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. Fine, whatever. A lot of decks might play things like Jet Energy to just totally get around that. Escape Rope Switch, Switch Cart, things like that exist, and a lot of decks run something along those lines. So not really crazy. 30 damage just isn't a lot. It's a nice little bit of chip, but okay. Last Respects for a Psychic Double Colorless hits for 160 plus 10 more damage for each Psychic Pokemon in your discard pile. You get 10 Psychic Pokemon in your discard, you're hitting for 260 for 3 energies. If one of those is a double turbo, you're hitting for 240. It just doesn't feel great. There's not a ton of ways to power up Psychic Pokemon that I know of. So I guess Gardevoir you could. That's like the big one at the moment. But why would you go with something like Houndstone that does more damage for Pokemon in the discard than something like a Zacian V that's a basic and you don't have to evolve, and it does more damage based on the energies attached to it, and you can attach as many energies as you want to it. Basically, I guess you can tactically attach maximum 10 energies to it, but you do a lot of damage with 10 energies. I just don't think 160 plus 10 is enough to do anything really significant. Charizard EX, and this is a dark type Charizard that uses fire type energies, 330 health. It has a crazy good ability, Infernal Rain, when this Pokemon, when you play it from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energies and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you want. That is super, super strong. That means we can evolve this Charizard. We can have a Charmander in play. Turn 1, we go first. We have a Charmander on the in the active. Then our opponent goes. Now on our turn, we Rare Candy into the Charizard. Now we just search our deck for 3 fighting fire energies. We attach 2 of them to our Charizard EX, and then 1 of them to a bench Charmander. And then for turn, we attach another fire energy. And even if we whiff a fire energy on our first turn of the game, if we have one on the second turn, and Charizard's ability, we just powered up 2 Charizards instantly. It's crazy. And then Burning Darkness for those 2 fire energies does 180 damage, 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has already taken. So we can be doing some pretty good damage. Your opponent takes 4 prizes, they're going to be taking 120 more damage. That's really good. That means you're hitting for 300 damage. A lot of damage for just 2 fire energies, especially when you can power up this Pokemon instantly with Infernal Rain. And we can do that for each Charizard EX we play. This isn't limited to just one. So that means if we go Charizard EX, we evolve a Charmeleon into Charizard EX, we search for 3 fire energies. And then we evolve another, again, we Rare Candy Charmander into Charizard EX, or evolve another Charmeleon into Charizard. That's 6 fire energies we attach in a single turn, not including attaching for turn from hand. So that's crazy strong. It's really good. And on top of that, we have another Charizard EX coming out in the Pokemon 151 set, and we have the Pokemon Go Charizard that says all your fire energies count as 2. So, because we're going to be running Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard EX evolves from Charmeleon just like the Pokemon Go Charizard does. That means those 3 fire energies, if we have a Charizard from Pokemon Go in play, those 3 fire energies are actually 6 fire energies, which means we can attach 1 to the Charizard EX and it is able to attack. We can attach to the other Charizard EXs, and with that Charizard Go from Pokemon Go, or Charizard from Pokemon Go, all of them can attack for a single fire energy. It's really, really cool. So there's a lot of opportunity here to make Charizard work. I think this is an extremely playable Charizard. Again, 330 health means it's going to be a little bit hard to KO in one hit. We're hitting for 180, so we're knocking out everything in 2 hits. That's really cool. Yeah, you're a dark type, so your weakness is grass, which bug, because dark is weak to bug. There's really no grass. There's no grass in the format, really, at the moment, anyway. So maybe a Masquerada is like your biggest threat, but then you still have the Charizard EX from Pokemon 151 when eventually that comes out, and the Pokemon from Charizard from Pokemon Go to deal with those grass types. Because I think honestly, I do think this is a pretty good card. There are some other cards that we can talk about, like the Scizor, Punishing Scissors. It does 10 plus 50 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. That's really cool, especially against Lost Zone decks, because the Comfeys all have abilities, Cramorants have abilities. So you have like 3 or 4 of those Pokemon in play. You're hitting for 160, 210 damage on a single prize stage 1 Pokemon for just 1 Metal Energy. Not bad. I don't know how much play it'll see, but I do kind of like it. Brassius, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw cards until you have 1 more in your card than you shuffled in. So you have 6 cards in your hand. 1 of them is Brassius. You play down the Brassius. Now you have 5 cards in hand. Shuffle your hand into your deck, and then draw 6 cards, because 5 plus 1. It's okay. I don't really know how much play it's ever going to see with Iono in the format. So, and it's just, I don't really think so. Poppy, move up to 2 energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. It's kind of cool. I'm sure someone like Sander or some type of control deck, or there'll be a very specific deck that wants to make use of this. I just don't know what it'll be. Letter of Encouragement, you can only play it if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn. It does not say from damage. So that means, your opponent uses Sableye Lost Mine knocks out one of your bench Pokemon, that's okay. We can still use Letter of Encouragement because it says if they were knocked out last turn, not knocked out because of damage, which are two different things. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Now, the only thing that really makes use of this is something like either Gardevoir, if you can discard them, like a Research or Ultra Balls, Greninja, things like that, or Chien-Pao, which gets those energies out of the deck, and then you could accelerate them with the Baxcalibur. But Chien-Pao, if it's in the active, can already search for 2 energies anyway, so I don't really know how useful something like this is going to be. Mirage Gate wants to keep the energies in the deck. Charizard EX wants to keep the energies in the deck. Even things like Gutsy Pickaxe wants the energies to be in the deck. It wants to be at the top of the deck, but it wants them to be in the deck still. So I don't know how many things really want to accelerate from hand, but I'm sure maybe there's something that I just don't know of, or something that will come out in the future, something I'm not thinking about. I don't really know, but that's kind of all the cards. The rest of them here are, the Charmander, Charmeleon, the Larvitar, the Pupitar or Pupitar that evolve into the Charizard and Tyranitar EX. I guess Palafin Jet Punch is, 30. It does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for just a 1 water energy. Justice Kick does 210 for 2 water energies, but it has to move from the bench to the active that turn. So that means you can't use Justice Kick 2 turns in a row unless you are constantly switching Pokemon. It's cool. It's a cool concept, and it kind of fits what Palafin does in the video game. It just doesn't translate to the TCG as well, and I don't know really where you'll fit this in. It's a cool card. I like it. I just not super sure of it yet. But there you have it. First impressions from Obsidian Flames with some of the cards we've seen, some of the new big Pokemon EX. I think the Charizard is easily the best card that we've seen. And then the Tyranitar is also a very interesting card. The rest of them, Toedscruel is very, very important for meta counterplay and things like that. I just don't know how useful it's going to be or how much play it's going to see, though I do think it's an important card to get. Do kind of wish it was just a basic Pokemon, but whatever. Can't win them all, right? I want to know your thoughts. Tell me what you think of Obsidian Flames in the comments below. What do you think is going to be the best decks? Are there any cards that you're particularly excited for? I want to know. But otherwise, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel and other people should watch it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. I want to give a special shout out to the YouTube members Black Wins, Mike the Highest, Fernando Ortiz, Chin Pokemon, and Eric N. Thank you all so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to become a channel member, you can go ahead and click the channel member button somewhere at the bottom of the page. I'm not really sure. I haven't done it myself.